All right, all right. Hello, everyone. Leslie M. Thornton here today with Zach White. Ooh, Zach White just gave me permission to both read his professional bio along with say exactly the way I feel about him and who he is for me. So I'm going to do a little bit of both today. So, Zach White is a widely regarded coach known for changing the game in engineering career coaching. He has worked with hundreds of engineers at all levels from dozens of top companies worldwide to escape burnout and achieve breakthrough results. Zach is the founder and CEO of Oasis of Courage, known as Owaco, a fast growing company with unique and proven coaching programs exclusively for engineers. He also hosts the Happy Engineer podcast, where listeners discover the steps to engineering success through expert interviews and Zach's own transformational framework, the Lifestyle Engineering Blueprint. Zach, thank you for being here. And so for me, the personal part of who Zach is. So Zach and I met each other in our coaching group that we're in. And we were in the final part of our seminar, 2-day, 3-day weekend, whatever it was. And we had to go around and share appreciations about the people in our little mini group. And like this man's heart, like penetrated my soul with what he said. And I'm not kidding about that. And I've seen you do it time and time again. And like you have a way of, we should find out what your human design is, but like seeing through, like just like being with someone's energy and just like seeing what that is and who that human being is. And it's what I believe makes you a fantastic coach on top of your skill set and all of your experiences. And I immediately said, whoever that guy is, I need to be around him more. And for the last, how long has it been? Over a year now.
It's been over a year now.
Okay. Yeah.
At least 18 months.
Yeah. We've been meeting every other week in a little mini mastermind group. And I've been wanting to bring in people that I'm hanging out with on a regular basis for you all, just who are walking that walk and going through the different things. And Zach has been awesome enough to, as soon as we got on today, I said, Zach, can we talk about money today? And he has said yes to that. And not only that, but had a story right off the bat of just being on the phone with a client who was in a bit of a money panic situation, that he got to guide him through that. Something that comes up all the time as we're doing coaching, as we all know. And yes, and I said, this is perfect conversation. I was just talking to the mastermind group around my making a huge investment in a matchmaker recently, which is I'm finding less about the hopeful human that they'll find for me and more about the money transformation for myself and how much it's kind of like taking me to that next level and teaching me so many more things about myself. So we're going to talk about money today, and we're going to get real and talk about, the different pains and challenges we've been through as well as what our clients have been through, with the intention that it will support any of you who may, right? Because, hypnosis for permanent weight loss. And I was just talking about this last night with my group, like a big reason why we will emotionally eat is because our finances aren't where we want it. Our relationships aren't where we want them, right? It's like all the emotional swirl that ends up at the end of the day leads us to be eating those things we don't necessarily want to eat. So it's all related. And so here we are to share about it so that you don't feel so alone with that, and maybe leave you with some good tools for how to get past it. So my first question to you, Zach, maybe you want to start with what that client was going through, or maybe, I don't know, we should just dive right in. Like, what's your money thing? What's your money story? What's happened to you?
Yeah. Wow, Leslie, I thank you for the intro. And it's such a pleasure to be here. And your listeners and your group are under the coaching and mentorship and guidance of one of the most amazing women on the planet. I say that from the heart. It's the truth. Money. Oh my goodness. Money. It's like such a unique area of life. Our relationship to money, I have found in my own journey and with my clients, it's unlike any other relationship that we have. And so I have to tell the story since you alluded to it. I think people would be sad if I don't talk about this client situation. And it does connect back to my own experience with money as well. So I think it's a good place to begin.
Yes.
And, this client, I work with engineers. Many of them make great money and are really excelling, and they're, coaching with me to find balance or avoid burnout. Money's not the problem. It's some of the things that earning that money has created in their life. But others come in needing or wanting something different out of their journey, and they do feel scarce around money. And this client is in that category and has wanted to work with me for over a year. And our first conversation was a long time ago. He really, really wanted to sign up for my coaching program, but didn't feel that it was possible because of his financial situation at the time. And just recently, he made a really courageous decision to step forward and refinance his house and take a big amount of equity out of his home. And he used a part of that, new cash into his life to sign up for my coaching program. And the other chunk he wants to use to get into real estate investing and start a passive income real estate portfolio, which is an awesome intention. And I'm really proud of him. And of course, excited to work with him. But this was just a couple of weeks ago. He makes this big decision and joined the program. And there is a wave of nervous energy and anxiety and pressure coming over him to somehow create results and a return on this money. And it's all consuming, right? It's blocking his mind from really digging into the coaching process. He's becoming frantic around, finding a great real estate property to invest in. And I need traction. I need ideas. I need results. I need new strategies. And there's this sense of, I must get something quick before the money runs out, or before, I miss the opportunity. That it's just amazing. He took an action rooted from a desire for abundance. And the immediate experience was one rooted in an old paradigm of scarcity.
Can we just pause right there for 1 second? Because Zach, the synchronicity of this conversation is ridiculous. Last night, my mastermind, I was talking about, like I was saying, the investment that I made in the matchmaker. I maxed out 3 credit cards, maybe even 4. I think it might have been 4 to make this thing happen. Okay. And so made this empowered decision. I knew that this was like a yes for me for all these different reasons. Made the decision, a day goes by, I'm feeling okay. And then all of a sudden, the squirreliness comes up and I start going into that scarcity mode, and I start talking to my friends and like, did I make a mistake? And then all of a sudden I'm getting these other charges coming in. So then it like heightens the thing of being like, oh my God, right? Like I needed that money for this, not that. Like I didn't make an educated decision. I made a mistake, right? It's just like waves of all of it. And I'm watching it happen and I'm learning so many things. I'm going inward. There's no doubt about it that I made the right decision at this point in time. And this is what we find that our clients get. But then last night also, I shared that, which then in turn led to 1, 2, I think 3 people who were on the call who all had the same exact thing. And then today, a member of my team, same thing. Wow. We made this, it was a right action too. All of us were like, I'm making this empowered choice to pay off this credit card, to pay these bills, to make this investments towards something that I know that I really want in my life. And every single one of us had that same little bit of time, and then panic, scarcity, have to work harder, great. So it's coming up everywhere. So then what?
Yeah. And it's crazy how there's short-term memory loss, right? This engineer, very intelligent person, spent over a year leading up to this moment. There was no shortage of thinking about, is this what I ought to do or not? He considered every possible angle for is this a wise decision? And the fact that he made it, I'm sure 100 different ways of analysis went into that moment of saying yes.
Yes.
And then as soon as you get on the other side of the yes, it's like you totally forget about all of that and start freaking out. So, this conversation for him in the coaching, what did we focus on? The biggest thing that he needed. And this may resonate with the listener, it may not, but this was today's conversation, was taking this long time horizon of his future and his need to sort of solve for the whole thing. Like, I need to get that real estate property and get the promotion, and the rest of my life needs to all happen right now. And he's like, he was looking at a year or two of his life's journey, and it all needs to be reality today to get the ROI on this decision that I made. And so all we did was started to zoom in. Like, hey, let's not solve the whole problem today. Let's leave a little bit of this for tomorrow. Let's just talk about what is important in your life right now. What's the next right decision for you today? Oh, and by the way, let's celebrate some wins that you've already had in the last 2 weeks. You've made this great decision. You took this action to change a bad habit. You had this awareness about an old pattern at work that was holding you back, and you already took action on it. He set up a meeting with a director that he's been too scared to set up for forever. I mean, this is the first time it's ever happened. Like, big wins. It just said, let's take those two things, some celebration for what you've already done, and bring it into a short time horizon. Don't worry about solving everything today. Let's just get this week right and today right, and have a little faith, have some trust that the rest of this is going to unfold. And one of the beautiful parts about coaching, and Leslie, I know you'll know this and your clients love and appreciate this, when we can step beside you and say, hey, I'm going to walk with you down this journey, and I don't want you to worry about the whole road. Like, let's just take the next couple steps together. Just having somebody there shoulder to shoulder to kind of journey with and guide you makes it so much easier. You just feel that pressure release. It's like, okay, I can handle today. I can handle this week. And, left with a really simple, clear plan of action and a grounded confidence that I made a good decision. I'm already making progress, and here's my next step. And that was it. I mean, it was a really nice place to end, in an empowered place. But
and your clients are so lucky to have you. And like, as you were saying about that, about having someone every step of the way, it's like, the truth is, I always say this to my clients, is like, there is some part of you that knew that you were ready for this type of shift, for you to step into your greatness in this XYZ way, whatever your transformation was. Maybe it was, having to pay that amount of money when you didn't have the funds there. Or maybe it was, having to realize that your food issue is really the result of you not being in a relationship for the last X amount of years because you're too afraid to put yourself out there, and it's a lack of confidence, right? Like, it's whatever comes up for people at the moment of saying yes, to joining the program, is the same thing that's getting in your way of doing absolutely everything that you actually want to do, but you're just too scared because, right? We all try, we make attempts to do this. We'll take these actions of being like, okay, I'm going to get off my diet, right? In our world, and I'm going to eat intuitively. And you do it, and you do it for like a day, and then all of a sudden the emotions happen, right? Same way for your clients of, right? He took out this loan, he's stepping into his greatness. Most of us shrink back because we don't have that person to step by our side and say, you're safe. Let's look at it, right? Like, all of the muscle and the emotional reactions are the thing that prevents us from actually stepping into our greatness and into our bigness. And so it's just super smart to know that, hey, I need a system of support. Sometimes people don't even know exactly why they need it until they get in the program. And then, we've had a woman who, like, her best friend was her dog, and her dog died like shortly after joining. And she's like, I literally don't know where I would be if I didn't have this program. It's like, did you actually maybe know somewhere deep down that, like, this chapter of your life is going to require support? So yes, absolutely.
What you said is super true too, Leslie, that what's experienced right here in the context of finances for this client is the exact same pattern that shows up at work, and holding him back from career growth. This need to solve the whole problem of the future in a moment, and how that creates anxiety and stress and overwhelm. And it's the same thing. I self-sabotaged in an interview with a great company because I didn't feel like I could be successful at every dimension of what that job required on day one. and I fell into fear, and it's like I couldn't do it.
Yep.
And it's that same pattern. So I think money has such a unique way of surfacing the part of our subconscious that's holding us back in a lot of areas. And for the listener here, in weight loss and eating and these patterns that may hold you back in your health, you know, these money topics are totally relevant because
Yes.
it's going to reveal the same pattern in your subconscious that's holding you back.
Yep. The way we do one thing is the way we do absolutely everything. And you and I both know, like, the number one thing people will say when they get to the, enrollment part of the conversation is like, oh, I don't have the finances. Sometimes it's true, right? It's like when we ask the question, sometimes it's like, no, I literally don't have any credit cards. I can't get any credit cards. I don't have any family. Like, literally, it's like, okay, got it. Here's some resources for you. But then there's other people where it's just like, that's the familiar story, right? It's like every single time when we identify, I'm not worthy, is like really what comes up for them, like in why they haven't been able to go after their dreams or whatever. I know for a fact that what's going to come up, and I say this to them, I'm like, okay, so when we get to the part about the investment, guess what's going to be there? It's like, I'm not worthy of this. I'm not good enough for this. And it's just like,
Yes.
and I just want you to be aware of it, because whether it's my program or something else, that's what's getting in your way of stepping into everything that you want, the life you want, the relationship you want, the everything that you want is on the other side of you doing the opposite thing that you think you should do based on, right, whatever's coming up
Mm,
or whatever. And it's like, so if you know that you're a yes for the program when you're hearing the details, then it becomes, how do I actually get past all the fears that's coming up when I know that I am a yes? And in my experience, when I live my life according to that, right, it's like, I'm a yes for this. I'm a yes for this. Then it's just, how can I make it happen? Yes, I have the thoughts. Yes, my brain's going to say I don't have the finances too, right? That comes up for me all the time. And it's just like, is that true? And looking at all the things and then making it happen. Clients get the best results who do that. It's never about the
amen.
money. Unless it is about the money, it's really not about the money.
That's super true. So you triggered my other half of your first question in what
Mhm.
you just said. What is Zach's money
Yes.
story? And are we? Can I go there? Would it be all
Yes,
right? I mean,
please. We would
I
love
just
it. Thank
I'll
you.
be completely honest and vulnerable about this with the group because I,
Yeah.
I want you to know, my success and the things that have happened in my journey. If you look me up, you're like, wow, this, that, or the other. Like I still have the same kind of challenges that normal people have. And so with money, there's a couple threads, a couple stories that I continue to bump up against with money, no matter how successful I've been in my career in engineering at Whirlpool Corporation, or now as an entrepreneur, as a private equity investor, and all the things that I do. There's a couple big themes. Number one, I link my value and worth to my income. When I'm succeeding at
Yes.
earning a lot of money, I am successful. I'm a good person. I'm a valuable person, and my self-esteem and my self-worth is linked to that.
Yes.
I sit here today as a coach who coaches people not to be that way, and I'm just being totally honest. It
Yeah.
is so wired into my programming that
Yeah.
to this day I still have to remember to do that mindset work and keep conditioning around breaking that link. So that's number one.
Yes.
Number two is I'm always afraid that money's going to disappear from my life.
Mm.
There's always a sort of lingering in the back of my mind fear that it can all disappear. And my business partner Dave and I joke about the imaginary thread that if pulled, everything will unravel, and I
Mm.
will be homeless under a bridge somewhere in Chicago, wondering what happened in my life. Like
Yes.
there's always this fear that somewhere is that thread, and like I just pray that nobody pulls it. That the whole thing
Mhm.
can come crashing down. Those are my two just money baggage realities. So you could take that wherever you want, Leslie, but I just,
No, I
there
just
it is.
appreciate you sharing that. And I think it's so helpful for people to hear the fact that that's there. And I know for myself, it's like the same thing. It's like, oh, what's my story that I usually hear myself saying is like, I don't have any of that money. And it's just like, and I'll really be saying it. And I feel that that's true. And then it's like, but it's completely disempowering. It's a conversation that doesn't work. I had a podcast interview that I did with Brooke Ritchie, and we, she's the money mindset coach, as you well know. And, talking about just the different things that we both had to go through when it comes to money. And it's always in the background, and it's all over human existence. Like, even some people, right? Like, it'll be like, oh, like, I don't have anything with money. Right. And then I watch someone say, like, I just realized I do really have stuff with money. Like, I say it all the time, like, oh, I don't care about money. Like, I don't care about money. But in reality, right, it's like the fact that she's saying she doesn't care about, she's like neglecting what's actually happening in the background. Right. And I love what you're saying about how your worth is attached to, what money is in your bank account. And so just this past summer, Zach, when I was at my NLP and coaching trainers training, hypnosis, timeline therapy, the whole thing, I have overcome the attachment to my worth based on my weight. Okay. So it used to be, exactly. That was a hard one. That was extremely hard, which is why I do what I do today. My weight was up. I'm miserable, depressed, and anxious every day of my life was my past, right? My weight is down. I'm happy. I'm confident. I'm energized. I'm ready to go. Right. And like, I had this awareness for myself of like, okay, so my weight is clearly continuing to change as I go throughout my life based on whatever is happening. And more of the time than not, my weight is more than I want it to be, is what I was noticing. I was like, so that means more than 50% of my life, I'm going to be miserable. I was like, I can't even imagine that, like, that much of my life is going to be so bad. Right. So I've finally gotten to a place where it's like literally no attachment. It's just like, and because of that, it can do whatever it wants. I'm good. Whatever I'm eating, there's no good, bad, blah, blah, blah. Like, that charge is gone. So I say at my trainer's training last summer, I was with a colleague that I was working with, and I said, I know that the next transformation for myself is money. I said, because when my bank account is up, I'm good. I said, if my bank account comes down, I'm beating myself up. I'm hating myself for actions I've taken or not taken. I'm in panic mode. I'm going all over the board, like very similar reactions that I was having when I used to see the scale go up. Right. And just because I just made this, for me, one day that won't seem like such a catastrophic investment, but in all one time to pay more than down payment of my home, like, that was right. And it's forcing me but I'm so grateful, because like you're saying, the way that you coach this guy, if I look, it's been like 2 weeks since I made that decision, at like all of the actions that I've taken since then because of that, and like what's transpired because of that. And here's the thing, Zach, is that I know it's also directly related to my finding my true lifelong partner. Because since this money attachment in myself had not been cleared, there was always in the background of, I need this man to be that for me, to be my financial security blanket, right? I grew up in a family that was pretty traditional, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom and my dad worked. And so it's like, I need that. I need that. I need that, right? Like, I need that just everywhere. And so now I'm forced to being able to see, like, I'm resourceful. I'm going to make my money work for me. I have all this access to moving things around. I have to get resourceful, and like, who else can we help? Right. Like, getting all these things, but I'm really getting like, I don't need anybody to help me. Like, I have the tools to succeed. Like, my bank account could be low, I'll still figure it out. Like, my bank account could be high, not a lot changes. Right. And it's like, at the end of the day, no matter what, even when my bank account was up higher, it was like, I was still in the money trap. I was still fearing about it. I was still like, what do I do with it? Like, still in it. And recently, this course that I'm taking on money says, like, the fastest way out of the trap is to get in the trap. Get in the trap. And it's been so good to get in the trap and just like feel all the things and just let it be that way. And the way that I'm showing up energetically because of that, like, even have gone on a couple of dates since then, it's just like, I'm just like in the trap, and there's no like anything else. I don't know. It's pretty fantastic.
The thing I have found, you tell me if you have experienced this or feel the same way, Leslie, that part of the reason it's so important to break these lies and links that we hold between our worth and money, which is one of my two big stories here. You might think, okay, we'll link it back to weight loss. I'll take my own body. If I'm 150 pounds and look okay in the mirror, then I can be happy. And if I'm over that, then I'm not happy. If that's my magic number. Well, what happens for me is you get to 150, but then you're like, well, you know what? I'd really rather have bigger biceps. I'm not actually
Yes.
happy. Like the circuitry that gave me the
Yes.
first target, it just moves. It finds a new
Yes.
target. And with money,
Right.
it's like, hey, when I just have this income, then I can relax about money. But all that happens is you start writing bigger checks, you're doing other things, there's more risk in the business, and the number just keeps moving. The
Yes.
part of you that needs to feel successful or feel that attached part, it doesn't actually stop at the magic number that you think it's going to stop at. It
That's
just
right.
keeps going, which is why there's
Right.
millionaires or even billionaires on the planet who still constantly are chasing more and have this emptiness in terms of self-worth, because that link does not ever satisfy the part of you that's seeking to be filled.
That's
And so
right.
anyway, that's what I have experienced, and it's part of why I'm being really intentional right now to break this within myself on the money side, because it won't matter how successful Oeko is. This part of my life has to be resolved for me to experience the fullness of life at any point along that growth curve.
Oh my God, absolutely. And it's amazing, Zach, to see like since I made this decision, like obviously it's a trickle down effect. Like first my team found out about it, then my clients started finding out about, and like now it's a new conversation, right? It's a conversation that we're all getting to have. And I'm so grateful that I'm doing it because it's like wherever I'm trapped, right, is where my clients are trapped ultimately, you know? Like this is the next step. It's the next area of awakening, really. Right. And it's just like all around me, what's happening is people are transforming because of this conversation. And it's like,
Wow.
it's amazing, to just to think about now, like the ripple effect of that and like the humans we get to be. Because the other thing is like relationships, we attract our wounds, whatever is still unhealed in us, it's going to be there. So I was just talking to a member on our team at Hypnosis Permanent Weight Loss, and of like, okay, well, if this is a block for you, it's coming up in your marriage, it's coming up in your relationship. And like, what would it be like for you to actually get past this by scaring yourself is what I told her, right? Because she has those scarcity things. I'm like, scare yourself. Like, because it's going to force all these things. And then eventually, because I knew intuitively, I'm like, because that's what had to happen with my weight, Zach, was like, I had to let completely go. And I gained a bunch of weight fast. And it was I weighed more than I had ever weighed in my life. But like then I got to see like, oh hey, like it just kind of like hung out here and I don't like it, but like it wasn't going to go past it. And this was without me trying to control anything, without me trying to white knuckle my way to like stay in this. It was just like, this is where we're at now. And then my body went to where it's been and where it's been for the last several years now, And so like I feel like this is what's happening with the bank account. It's like I'm having to be like, okay,
Yes.
like I'm just going to let that go and see so that I can build that trust and faith both in myself, but also in like the fact that I'm being taken care of and it's okay. And then my life gets to keep being cool and not like striving or the crazy energy that makes relationships fail, to be honest, and makes things not work. It's amazing.
I love
So
that.
amazing.
What you said, I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget this. The idea of you knew intuitively. One of the things for me, so you heard in the intro, I'm an engineer. I'm very analytical, I'm very logical, like all engineers are. I feel blessed to also be in touch with this other side of my life in the emotional and in the intuitive as well as a coach. But I still have a strong, left brain kind of worldview, if you will. And money, I believe, is very rational in our Western world. You know, we look at it in hard finance terms, ROIs and IRRs, and you know, like we want to analyze and be wise through logic and thinking around money.
Yes.
And the idea of being intuitive around money is not something that was ever discussed in my household. Like money was something that you measure and you take care of and you invest and you know, spend wisely and you budget and you plan. It's like left brain, left brain, left brain. There was no conversation about intuition or feeling around money. And the irony of that to me is, you know, what is money really at the end of the day? And I think of the answers you could give, a form of energy is one of them that I like. You know, money is it's a store of value, but it's a form of energy. And energy is something that we talk about on this intuiting side of our life. You know, when you have an energy conversation, it's not usually logical, rational. It's usually emotional, spiritual, you know, intuitive.
Yeah.
And so it's just funny to me that money is energy, but we attempt to solve all of our money problems on the sort of non-energetic side of our life in this thinking brain.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
even this morning, with my coach, Michael Klein, and I had a great conversation this morning about me learning to trust my intuition around money. This literally came up this morning.
Wow.
And I made a pretty bold decision today to invest more money than I thought I had into scaling up my podcast, because I really believe in it. Just this idea of trusting myself that that's what needs to happen, even though I can't see the ROI today. It was very scary for me. And,
yes, good
but
for
it's exactly
you.
what needed to happen.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And that reminded me, like, every single business decision, Zach, that I've ever made since starting Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss, 2013, 14, 15, when I made the decision based off my intuition, it always worked. And what I mean by that is, like, there was at one point where I was like, I just feel like I'm supposed to be on LinkedIn. And I got on LinkedIn and had my first client that paid, you know, the 9K or whatever to work with me for however many months. And it was like, it paid back the investment that I made. It was just like this intuitive sense. There was another time that I was in our coaching group that we met each other in, and somebody found this other LinkedIn thing and to work with this LinkedIn guy, right? That was helping them find all these leads and all this kind of stuff. And I jumped on the bandwagon, invested a large chunk of change in that. No results. Not get the ROI, right? It's like, why? Like, I could name so many times where it's like, I followed my intuition and made that decision based on what I felt like was the right place to go. And it always happened that way. Now, when I say that, I've talked to our business coach about this, because he also, and it's cool because as much as, you know, he's very like in the numbers, because there is a place for planning and the left brain part of money, but it's always the opposite of what we are used to doing, is usually what we need to balance to have a whole and complete thing. So he's very much in the left brain and, you know, uses his intuition. But what he said to me was that, you know, he might use the intuition, but he said there's been many times when his intuition said no to not do something, and he did it anyway. And that thing, you know, he tested it out and it was the thing that, you know, was supposed to happen. So there's that. But also, as an example, like, he is and you and I had a conversation with Brooke's husband, who I'm going to be interviewing Brooke around her manifesting her husband or whatever, very successful businessman, about his complete detachment to money. Like, had a conversation with him and he was like, well, first of all, no money is mine. He's like, the business isn't mine. He's like, the money isn't mine. He's like, not like, I don't even exist. Like, this is just, right? Like you said about like money is an energy exchange. Like my response to that at this point in time is like, money is paper. It's just paper.
Yeah.
Like, it's
just an
really,
idea. You and I just agree. This is a thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll use it.
Paper. But anyway, so that to get to that level, and this is where I believe that I'm headed based on this, you know, choice to make this investment, is like just detachment from it all, but that's what makes it then be like a playground, and let's have fun, and let's throw things around, and let's make mistakes, and let's, let's fail faster to really make a difference for human beings versus any of our other blocks that we may have as we continue on this path. It's and bringing our clients up with us along the way. I mean, this is the best journey. I can't imagine a better profession than being a coach and having clients.
It is pretty awesome. And Leslie, I'll say the other side is true too. What you just described is super powerful for me. And I am moved by that, in the idea of, I don't need any money to be worth something and to have all of my esteem and value in this life. It has nothing to do with money. And so kind of this idea of, if I had none, that wouldn't matter. But at the same time, like, what are you worth in terms of value and being able to charge what you're worth? Like, whatever you do, if the listener, if you're in a 9-to-5 W-2 job, or if you work for yourself or whatever, like, how much money could you earn? And we have these notions of like what things are worth, or what you could earn, or what's possible for you. And it's no different on the top side either. Like, only your own attachment and belief to what you're worth limits that. There isn't actually a limit. Some coaches charge $1 million to work with them. Some charge 9K. What's the real difference? We could argue all day, well, one gets bigger results than the other, but really, like, is it really that? Or did they just actually believe that they're worth that? And then the people who had that were attracted to that belief, and then they're matched up, and they're doing the same thing we're doing, just at that level of belief. And
that's right.
So I think that's important to remember. Like, you can be fine with none, you can be fine with the millions, and it's paper.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. One of the conversations we were having in the course that I'm in is around not being stingy with sharing who you are and where you're at and what's actually happening. The conversation really came like, we have this thing about money, and we have to have more, we can't make any, or, whatever, I can't keep a budget, or I'm always in debt, or I can't get out of debt, or whatever, these disempowering stories and things that we say to ourselves all day, every day. But the other thing is, we're holding it all on into ourselves. Like, we're not actually telling people that we're walking around with this like anxiety blanket on all the time, with those stories that are all woven into that. And just really getting to say, so the coaching this one woman got was like, what would it be like if you said at your next family dinner, like, I'm embarrassed that I can't keep a budget at 59 years old, or whatever. And like, and she's just like, kind of being with that. And she was like, and the coach was just saying to her, like, I bet that nobody in your family would ever talk to you about their money situation. She's like, no. And he was like, yeah, because you would judge them. Because you judge yourself, and you don't have any connection with other human beings around this area of your life. And she's like, I would judge them if they told me that they were making whatever decisions around money or whatever, and it's like, what would it be like if you just went and said that to them? It's like, she's like, well, I could really see it could open up a conversation. Like, maybe they'd then feel safe enough to talk about their money situation. She's like, maybe we could have possibilities in the family open up where we're all budgeting together and like making a thing about it. Right. And it's like, that's really, at the end of the day, what that feeling that we're looking to get from money really is. One of the things that Brooke's husband also said that I thought was awesome, I think you were on the call, Zach, was he was saying like, you can work super hard and you can make all the money in the world and do all these things to make all of that money. And he was like, but then you're going to be driving in your Lamborghini alone. You're going to be driving in your Lamborghini alone. He's like, that's awful. Like, why do you want to do that? And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like really about, it's about the connections. It's about the relationships. It's about like spreading more of that love. And it's like, you get to be that abundance, and, great, definitely get, work on your business and your left brain and your bank accounts at the same time. But like, that's the real abundance.
That judgment comment really resonates for me. I am guilty of that same tendency. And the fact that money is such a taboo topic,
Mhm.
and in my world, in the career space, it's salaries. Like you don't ask somebody what their salary is. That's a total no-no, right? I mean, that's what we're taught. That's kind of
Yes.
the culture around it.
Yeah.
Well, why? Why does everybody care to keep it a secret? What's the big deal about what anybody else earns? And I'm
Right.
not saying, the right thing to do is go out and start asking everybody what their salary is. You be authentic to yourself, listener. But the point is, like, if somebody earns twice as much as you doing the same job, like, what does that mean? And we have this sudden oh, does that make me half as good of a person, or is this unfair, or is this like, and there's all kinds of judgment that just gets
Yes.
immediately cast on yourself and them,
That's
or
right.
even if it's the other way around. And so, yeah, I think that's super convicting. What does it really matter, and where
Absolutely.
the role money plays in judgment.
Yeah. And how much it
Wow.
isolates us,
Mm-hmm.
not having that conversation. And then, like, even though we're not talking about it, we're all thinking about it at some point, wondering about that, asking ourselves that question. Like, we have absolutely no idea, but it's like, it's not connecting us any closer. It's just,
Yeah. Amen.
yeah, it's really quite the conversation. And we're all in it, and it's everywhere. I've been talking to my friends about it, and they're like, I think, like, I'm really in the money trap. And like, this person, doesn't have a lot and claims to say all the time, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, I'll make more, like, whatever. But like, she's like, no, but when she just moved into a new house, and she was like, now I have to like spend money to like furnish this house. And I'm like bumping up against all these things, and she's like, I'm in the trap. Like,
Yeah.
I'm always
Yeah.
in it too. And I don't think I feel like if you're born in this culture, like, I don't imagine you could escape without being in the trap. I can't imagine one human being. Like, homeless people are in the trap, super wealthy people are in the trap. I don't know. But
Yeah.
of course there are some. I'm on the path to be out of the trap, and
Amen.
I'm
Yes.
committed to getting out of the trap. And
Yeah.
I will say that one of my other friends is like, cuz I'll tell you this story. I don't think she'd mind me sharing. She was married in the past, and had a very beautiful, like, whole diamond as a wedding ring. Okay. Like, big, the whole, like, whatever, worth a lot. And she ended up, that marriage didn't work out. She got a divorce. She, was, she was gifted the wedding ring as, she didn't have to give it back or anything like that. She lost the ring. Okay. So she and her now husband, great relationship, great marriage, they're like looking for it, like high and low, like, where is this ring? Like, where is it? Like, where could it? Okay. So years went by, couldn't find it. She even moved to a different, house, different state, never found it. Just like 3 or 4 weeks ago, like, the most bizarre scenario. So she's on the phone with her insurance company and talking about whatever other insurance that she whatever had to do. And they're like, "Oh, is there anything else that we, can do for you today? We see that you have like still insurance with us on your wedding ring and on your blah, blah." And she's like, "Oh, like, I forgot that I got insurance for my wedding ring." And she was like, "Well, actually, like, my wedding ring has been lost." Like, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this covers it for lost rings as well." And so she actually got forwarded right to her bank account, like, I don't know, 15 grand or something like that for this ring or something like that. Just like right away from this insurance company. So heads
Wow.
up, if you have a wedding ring, get insurance. She said she only paid like $100 for it. And like, they just right over to her, no questions asked, for this lost ring. So literally 2 weeks later, this is what happened is, she hears something, and after years of it being gone, and she and her husband searching high and low, and then she just gets this money. So, and she got the money, and then she's like, great. So what am I going to do with this money? So she bought a new like kitchen. They just moved into this house. Like, so a new thing in the kitchen, a new oven, like whatever, all this stuff. She's like super grateful, and then she finds the ring. Okay. So it's like, okay. So
Wow.
she was like, well, I can still, like, it's fine because, it genuinely was lost before and like, whatever. So, but then a week or two had gone by, and she must have started to really, cause she's, cares about integrity. And she was like, maybe I should like call the insurance company and say like, well, I found the ring, so what do we do?
Mm-hmm.
And so she did the right thing. She called them and she said, so, we actually just found this ring. You guys had sent me over insurance money. And they were like, oh, so glad that you found the ring. Yep. We'll take that money back. And she was noticing that she was totally okay with it. She was like, that's fine. Even though she just spent that money, she had gratitude that the whole thing happened, because if she didn't get that amount of money forwarded over to her, she wouldn't have like
Made
made all
those
of these
investments.
decisions and these
Wow.
investments, that it's making her space. Like she's so much happier where she's living now because of these upgrades she made. And she's like, I'll find the money a different way. She's like, I invested in like a stock before, but she was like, it was so good for me to see that, because she was like, in the past, that wouldn't have been me at all. I would have been upset. I would have been scared.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she was like, none of that happened. Like, I'm just completely, and I was like, well, that's the goal. That's the goal 100% for myself, to be with money. Because I'll still, when I make a financial mistake, quote unquote, it's still pretty challenging for me. I beat myself up. I'm scared, right? But I'm aware of it and I'm committed to going all the way past it. And it's happening now. So here we go, universe.
What a great story.
Yeah. So anyway, so here we go. I feel like gurus have that detachment from the money, and it's when they really make it happen. Right. So I guess for any listener listening, I would just say, do you still have money stuff? Are you in the trap? How is it affecting your life in all these ways, shapes, and forms? How often are you hearing yourself say, I can't afford it, I don't have the money, blah, 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 blah. Like, is that actually true? And could you not get resourceful? And how is being in the trap holding you back from getting everything that you want to have? And having the
Yes.
life that, right, when Zach and I do consultations with people, right, it's like we're painting out this picture of like, this is something you wanted for years and years in your life, to get free from food, to be confident, to start a business, to take action, to ask your boss for that promotion, to, start your brand new career, whatever. And like, you haven't been doing it. Zach and I are highly trained to be able to walk with you every step of the way to get past it and know that you're safe and you can do it and step into your greatness. And the only one that's holding you back is going to be you at the end of the day. And if the finances part is part of the story, then I hope that this conversation gives you some food for thought and to not let it get in the way. Because I can say with 100% certainty that if it was not for me continuing to push my comfort zone and hire coach after coach after coach after coach after coach, that I would not get to be where I am today. And it's the best investment I've ever made and will continue to make in my life. At the same time, taking 100% responsibility for myself and knowing it's not just about the coach, but it's about having the bravery and the courage to keep going after it and becoming who I know that I am, stripping away the layers of all the stuff that gets in the way, our parenting, our upbringing, our doubts and fears. It's just the best thing you could ever do for yourself. So don't hold yourself back. What would you say to them, Zach? Anyone who's in this
Oh,
conversation?
I think, I mean, that's a beautiful truth that you laid out. And, my wife and I gladly invest 20 or 30 times what my clients invest to work with
Yes.
me into our coaches for this exact reason.
Yes.
And, what I'll say, just if you're looking for one simple indication around if this conversation is alive and well and a barrier in your life right now, for me, one of them, there are many, but one of them was, and I can proudly say was, an inability to celebrate for other people's financial success when it was greater than my own. Authentically. Maybe I could fake it in public because they were a friend or whatever, but deep down it triggered jealousy or uncertainty or fear in some way in my own life. Yeah. And now I love to see you and my friends and the people around me just absolutely crushing it in the realm of finances, because I know that's the kind of energy I want to be around anyway. And just like, yes, please go ahead of me, set the pace, like create a nice draft for me to come follow behind because yes, I'm coming right with you. And in the past, I would have thought, what's wrong with me? What's, how come why God this? Like, so just something to ask yourself, if one of your best friends had a windfall or a huge financial celebration, how would it actually make you feel? And if you are being honest and it's like, yeah, I don't think I would like that very much. We got work to do. We got work to do.
Absolutely. 100%. Yep. And I think it's really important that we also speak to the fact that we are investing very heavily in all these aspects. Yes, the matchmaker, but our business coaches and everything else that we're doing. And it's because we need and I couldn't, now, our programs are priced what they're priced now. Mine used to be way less affordable. I had to build up to it and always, reaching reach farther than the other person ahead of me. So anyway, find a coach where it resonates with you and push your comfort zone, just whatever you can do that knows that, that has walked the walk that you're walking and can get you where you want to go now.
Yeah. We're talking about money and return, but I'll just tell the listener, you as a human have an unlimited return on investment. There is no limit to what you can create when you invest in yourself. That upside is truly unlimited, but you have to invest. And that doesn't just mean time and energy and reading books and others. It also means where your finances go because of the link we're talking about. And so do it. Scare yourself. Take that next bold action and invest and work with Leslie because she's freaking amazing.
Oh, I was right back at you. Work with Zach. And yes, and I love that you pointed that back at like invest in yourself, because I follow so many coaches and every single one of them says that, it's like, it's the investments in yourself, like you're investing in your kids' college, you're investing in your house, you're investing, but like yourself is like where the biggest ROI is, in my opinion. So thanks for specifying that. Zach, how can people find you? You're the best. Thank you for being here.
My goodness, Leslie, thank you. I hang out on LinkedIn the most, being in the career space, and you don't have to be an engineer or want career coaching to reach out to me. Anybody who's hearing this is welcome to connect anytime. So find me on LinkedIn. I'll make sure Leslie has that and can link it up in the show notes or wherever you all go to find folks. But Zach White, ZACH. I'm sure you'll find me if you search LinkedIn. And you can find more about OACO and what I do at oasisofcourage.com. And if you do know any engineers or technical professionals who want more from career and life, that is what I'm really good at. So please send them my direction, and would love to see how we can support them and break through to the next level in their journey.
Absolutely. Zach is the best. I would always want him on my journey, and I have him on my journey on a regular basis because I'm smart. So if you're smart and you resonate with Zach, then go for that. And he's got his podcast as well, The Happy Engineer. So if you want just more of that amazing voice and energy just hitting your freaking heart every day like I do, then you can go ahead and listen to that as well. So Zach, thank you so much. And thanks everyone for listening.